I love IKEA. Even better, I love IKEA hacks. Hi, I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jorge, and on this channel, I like to do a lot of high-end inspired DIY decor. And today I have, I think, my first IKEA hacks video. And let me tell you, I think these projects turned out pretty awesome. So let's just dive right in. This floor lamp, probably the most common, most affordable floor lamp at IKEA. You probably have had it, maybe you still have it, and it's actually quite a basic lamp, kind of boring honestly. So how do we take this lamp, make it feel a little bit more special, maybe a little bit more high-end? Don't exactly know, but I have an idea that I think it will look a lot nicer. It's inspired by this like Danish style lamp that you have probably seen before, and I feel like this lamp is a perfect starting point. The first thing I'm doing is giving the lamp one coat of matte black spray paint. Now I know what you're thinking, Jorge, this is already a black lamp, why are you painting it? Well, originally it's a glossy finish, it looks very plasticky to me, and I think the matte looks a little bit nicer.
For the base, I'm actually going to be filling it with cement. I'm going to use this bucket as sort of the mold here. I'm not going to fill it all the way, I'm probably going to fill it about halfway or so here. And so as you can see, this cable, I need to figure out a way to sort of make it come out. So I'm thinking about drilling a little hole here so that I can fit the cable part out, and then I'll have to like put some tape or something just so that the cement doesn't come out.
Making the hole is actually quite simple. All you need is a hole saw drill bit. I think that's what they're called. I ended up buying a multi-pack that had various sizes, which I ended up using here in the future. You'll see in the video here. But this one worked out just fine. I think that one is 1 1/4 inches. Put it onto my drill and then just made a hole onto the side of the bucket, about 1 inch above the base of the bucket. This will make sure that I can cover it nicely when it comes time to pouring in the concrete. Now before working on the concrete, I'm going to be spreading a thin layer of oil onto the inside of the bucket. In this case, I'm using cooking oil because that's what I had on hand, but this will prevent the concrete from sticking to the bucket while it cures, or at least in theory, because in the end it's still stuck to it, and then I had to basically destroy the bucket. That's alright because buckets are pretty cheap. Now here you can see me putting the cable through that hole and really finding the center of the lamp with the bucket. Now to cover up that hole, I'm going to use actually just duct tape and just put duct tape basically around the entire hole as best as I can. I also covered the bottom of the rod with some newspaper and some tape just to keep the rod clean during the concrete pour process. It's okay if some of it gets submerged under the concrete. Now, if you haven't worked with concrete before, it's actually very simple. Do not be intimidated. But basically, I picked up the cheapest bag of concrete mix I could find at my local Lowe's, and I'm adding a little bit of water and mixing it together with my drill and drill attachment. You can just use a stick, but you essentially want a pancake batter consistency. Be sure to really mix that thoroughly. If you want to add a little bit of color, definitely do that. I always like to do that with my concrete. I'm adding here a little bit of sort of this brown color just to give it a warm undertone, and a lot of charcoal just to get this as dark as possible. If you haven't checked out my DIY cement hacks video, definitely check that one out. I show a couple of ways you can add color to cement and really get fun colors, make it look like stone, all sorts of techniques out there, as well as really cool DIYs that I did there too. Now that that has been fully mixed, it ended up being about 1/3 of the bucket, which is totally fine. I poured that into our mold here, just very careful, and just really get it all the way in there. You will notice that the floor lamp moved a little bit, but that's alright. Just move it and make sure that it is centered. But that pretty much does it for this part. Also tap it with like a hammer or a mallet or whatever, just to release as many of those air bubbles as you possibly can. But that will do it for this part. We'll just have to wait maybe a day or two for this to cure. While that cures, it's time to work on our Danish-inspired lampshades. As you can see, I'm going to be using the existing lampshade that the lamp came with. Also going to be adding on these plastic plates that I actually found, I think, at Target. But you can find these plastic plates pretty much anywhere. I know Walmart might have these, Dollar Tree, and even IKEA. But of course we need to drill a hole onto these. So luckily, since they're plastic, they already have that center marked out for us. I'm going to again take this drill bit here. I think this one's 1.5 inches. Don't know if it really matters that much, but again, I will link these below. But when you're drilling into these, just be very careful, not press too hard, because you'll end up breaking it like I did, and then you're gonna have to run to the store and get another one. That's all right though. So I just tried that one more time, took it very slowly, made that first hole that the drill bit makes, and then turned it over, and then finished off the hole. And by the way, I'm drilling over a scrap piece of wood just to protect my tabletop, also drilling a hole through the small bowl. It's been about 24 hours and the concrete has hardened enough to be able to release it. And remember all that oil we used to prevent it from sticking to the bucket? Well, it kind of worked. It released from the sides as I wiggled it, but it would not release from the bottom. So I have no other choice than to cut the bucket apart into pieces. So I'm just taking my little hand saw right here. Just be very careful. It can be any saw really. Since this is plastic, it's easy to cut through. And just release it from the bucket. As you can see, maybe you can see, there's a little bit of it that broke off when I removed it. That's okay. I still need to let this fully cure. I'm gonna leave it for maybe like another day or so. The following morning, I sanded off the top gently with 220 grit sandpaper just to get it nice and smooth. I also sanded off the edges just for a cleaner look. Once I wipe that off, now it's time to seal this, which might be optional. In this case, I'm using Thompson's multi-surface something water seal. No, this is not sponsored, but I really like this product because it seals concrete in a way that it looks dry once this dries, and it doesn't look like it was wet or anything like that. Very, very nice. Of course, I'm putting on the lampshades, stacking them nicely, putting in the little cap and the light bulb, and that pretty much does it for this lamp. So let's take a look at the final result. Now personally, I keep track of time with my cell phone and sometimes I hand watch. Don't really use wall clocks, but I still think they could be really nice as home decor. And we're gonna take the most basic, the cheapest IKEA wall clock that we can find and make it a little bit more interesting with some cement and some spray paint. I grabbed the cheapest wall clock from IKEA. In this case, I think it's called the Troma clock. I'm taking it apart, so I'm removing that plastic front, the little hands, as well as the back hardware that holds the battery. Very easy to do actually, you just snap them off. Notice I'm not giving you the plan for this project. I'm kind of giving you a glimpse of how I approached this project, which was kind of just winging it. I kind of had an idea, wasn't sure if it was going to work out or not, but regardless, we'll be the judge of that. So here I am covering up the back holes here that form out the numbers, but I also want to take this time to invite you to check me out on Instagram. So many of you have been loving my content over there. Post some photos, some extra like DIYs, some hauls, things like that. So definitely go say hi, Casa_refined. As mentioned, I'm covering up the holes with some masking tape because I'm going to be pouring a thin layer of cement. Yes, I know I've been working with a lot of cement lately, but I really love it and I'm excited to try a different medium soon. In this case, I'm going to work with that and I'm going to cover up that little hole with a paper towel or napkin here just to make sure I don't get any cement on there. Now, I'm not using concrete here. Concrete has aggregate, which I don't want. I want cement. And I actually want a really thin consistency, kind of like soup, mixing it together because I want the thinnest layer possible to pour onto the clock. This might even work nicely with that self-leveling concrete for like flooring. But regardless, just make sure that your mixture is thin. Again, I'm also adding some pigment here just to add a little bit of color. And then I'm just going to pour it onto the clock here. As you can see, I did not make enough, so I quickly had to make another batch because this stuff does cure pretty quickly, so we want to work fast. And then just pouring it on there, taking my old spoon here and spreading it as evenly as I can. It's okay if these two colors don't blend together. I think that even looks nice. But make sure that you have it all spread. Maybe tap out some of the air bubbles by just using your spoon or stick or whatever. And then that pretty much does it for this part. You want to go ahead and let this cure per instructions of your cement. In this case, about 2 hours for me. Let's have a little fun while that cement cures and spray paint these clock arms. In this case, I'm going to go with a gold color. Honestly, any color would look nice, maybe black, maybe white, but the gold is kind of fun for this specific one. Once the cement cured, it's time to remove the tape and then the little napkin part. I also sanded it down with 220 grit sandpaper. I will say with this part, you have to be very gentle. I probably wasn't gentle enough, or maybe the plastic was too flimsy, but a little bit of the cement did crack, which is what we don't want. So I don't know if this is technically going to be a fail or not. In the end, I think it still ended up looking nice, but that pretty much does it for this clock. I put it all back together, so let's take a look at the final result. I'm very excited for this final DIY. We're actually going to be making a simple plug-in pendant light. Great if you're renting or you don't want a hardwire or something like that. Now, as you know, on this channel, I like to keep my DIYs very simple, or at least try to. And I think this next one definitely does that. It's actually this pendant light is actually inspired by a couple of lights that I've seen in some high-end interiors. I'll see if I can put some photos here, if I can track those down. But I really like the simplicity of this style, just like a globe light bulb and like a little cool lampshade. Very, very nice. You can put this pretty much anywhere. For this project, I'm using this large globe style light bulb from IKEA, as well as this white plug-in light socket. Only things not from IKEA are this round wooden tray. I actually thrifted this, but I will try to find something similar and link it below. Also, this PVC fitting. I think this is a coupling, is what it's called. And just like the floor lamp project, I have to drill a hole into the center of this tray. However, I need to find the center first, and let me show you a little trick. Basically, trace out the circle of your tray or dish or whatever you use, and then fold it into fourths. By doing this, this will create a center point that you can actually use to mark out the center. So I put that on top of the plate, grabbed a thumbtack, and then just poked a little hole there. That will do it for you. For this project, the size of the hole does matter. In this case, I'm doing a 2-inch hole using this drill bit to meet the size of the PVC fitting. Now, this drill bit is part of that multi-pack that comes with different sizes. I would highly recommend it because it comes in handy for a lot of different projects. Now, of course, when you're drilling into any wood, in particular like this wooden tray, just go very carefully. Don't go too fast because it might end up splintering. then you get a nice clean circle right there. I'm also going to give the PVC fitting a coat of white spray paint. Even though it's already white, this will help cover up any barcodes or anything like that. While that dries, I'm going to create sort of a small washer to go on that PVC fitting. This will help keep that lampshade, the wood lampshade, in place. So I'm just taking a scrap piece of cardboard, drew out a line and cutting out a strip about 1 centimeter in thickness. Then I took that piece and then just spray painted gold. Now that both pieces have dried, it's time to put this together. So I'm basically going to take my gold cardboard strip here and I'm going to glue this around the PVC fitting tube situation. And I'm going to actually cut 2 strips. They are going to be stacked on top of each other and go here in the center of that tube. And I'm going to use some E6000 just to create a really strong bond. As you can see here, it meets perfectly those 2 edges. And then I'm going to take a rubber band and actually use it to clamp those strips to the PVC. As you can see, the 2 stacked together. I think this looks a lot nicer than just using a thicker piece of cardboard. After waiting for a few hours to let the glue cure, it's time to put this bad boy together. So take your light socket, take your tube, and take your wooden tray, screw in that light bulb, and that does it for this project. So let's take a look at the final result. Alright friends, so that does it for today's video. Sound off in the comments, let me know which project was your favorite. Personally, I'm loving that floor lamp. I feel like that floor lamp, we've all had it, and it's such a simple way to really transform it. But regardless, let me know down below. Now, if you enjoyed this video, of course, be sure to hit that like button, really help me out. Subscribe if you're new here, if you want to see more videos like this. And I'm going to put actually a playlist here at the end of the screen of other DIYs that I've done. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!